Yeah, this one guy had the nerve enough to ask, um, can my wife be my accountability partner? And my answer to that one, and pretty much anybody's answer to that one, that's actually a professional, is going to be obviously no. That's the worst person in the world that can be your accountability partner. You're going to have to come inside to get the answer. I'm Joey.
This is your life. This is your life. Right now is your life. Life is about right now. Live and live are spelled the same way. In order to live, you must be live. Right now. The past does not equal the future unless you give the past permission. You are the sum total of your dominant thoughts and decisions. Yes, you are. So, a little birdie told me that you have an out of control sexual behavior of some sort. Pornography, masturbation, fantasization, or some kind of unhealthy sexual behavior. A little birdie also told me that it's starting to get the best of you. Here we go. And it's not okay anymore. That's good news. It not being okay. Because that's the beginning of how you can change it. We're going to have an adult, grown folk conversation about behaviors, attitudes, decisions, choices, actions to become healthy. Becoming healthy is a journey. It's not a one and done.
Check this out, y'all.
Like
check it.
This sexual addiction BS that you do where you just get all excited, you do this, and then you blast one. Now, it requires a lot more work than that. It's strategic. It's taking steps. It's reflection. It's looking inside. It's being introspective. It's deciding that you want a better life for yourself. That's what this is about. My name's Joseph F. Price. They call me Joey P. I'm going to be your host in this journey. I'm going to be your partner in this dance. We're going to do this together. We're going to become better people together. You are going to have sexual mastery. You are going to have mastery in your life. Yes, you are. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be somebody that you can be proud of. You're going to be somebody that even your mama can be proud. But it's not going to come free. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to do some reflection. I'm going to give you some tools. I'm not going to do it all on my own. I'll bring some guests. They'll give you the good stuff. But here's what you got to do. Take this as a journey.
It's a daily journey.
A journey that you get better each and every day. A journey that we don't stop until we figured out how to do it. And we become invincible. Yeah. We can become invincible to our pornography sexual behaviors,
Invisible.
and unhealthy,
Invisible.
other addictions.
Invisible.
You
Mastery,
just
y'all.
got to understand how it works. You got to understand how your mind
Stop
is
self-bitching
making
yourself.
you its bitch.
Stop
I know you don't
self-bitching.
like that language, but
No self-bitching.
you're the bitch of your mind.
None
And
of
so
that.
Here, this work that we're going to do, it's about neutralizing that and you becoming the victor. You becoming the master. You becoming the man that you're supposed to be. That's what I'm talking about. So if that's something that interests you, if that's something that you want to do, then let's do that together. It ain't a one and done. It's a journey. So let's begin. Joseph F. Price in the house. Good afternoon, everybody, and everybody, good afternoon. So happy that we're here once again to have an opportunity to dig in deeper, become better people on the other side. Hope everybody's doing wonderful today. I'm doing actually wonderful, very wonderful today, having a good day. I think I'm going to continue with the answering of the questions. And if you're actually watching on YouTube, I'm a little distracted because I'm pulling up some of these questions. So I can try to get a good question for you so that I can answer it. So I guess, one of the best ways that I can come out of today, which is, I guess it's not necessarily a question, but it's something that I encourage people very strongly. It's not a question that I have here, but I think it's a question that was answered before at some point in time. Regardless, here you go. What's the importance of a why? Well, what's the importance of a why? Well, let's start with a why is everything. It's everything. Because once you identify your why, then the why gives you the fuel to take the next step. And the next step is the how. And then after the how, the next step is the do. But the why is what actually gives it its start, and the why is actually what holds it together. So let me give you an example of a why. And that's actually I'm going to give you my why. And so my why is to serve you. I can't do what I do and do porn at the same time. I can't look you dead in the eye and say, oh, no, I don't do porn. And then knowing daggone well I do. Can't do that. So that's always been my why. My why has always been that my legacy as a coach is destroyed if I was to what you call relapse, what I call slip. It's always been my why. It's a good why. Is my legacy. And my ability to serve you is destroyed, and my legacy is too important, and my ability to serve you, the importance of that is too important to destroy at this state in the game, and that's my why. So you have to come up with a why for yourself, something that is really going to keep you in the game forever. Now, I'm not going to give you much more on the why, except for don't make the why a person. Not a wife, not a kid, not a family. It's got to be something outside of them. It's got to be a selfish reason. Your addiction to selfishness, it's a selfish process. I got news for you. Getting out of your addiction has to be a selfish process too. It's a one person process. It involves others depending on what your situation is, but yeah, you got to do it yourself. All right. So there you are. Why is it's like the greatest. That's the thing. That's one of the things that's been missing, and your why can't be a person. And one of the reasons why it can't be a person like your spouse or your family is because if you get mad at your spouse or somebody in your family, then you act out. If your spouse or your family member that's your why lets you down, you get to act out. If you decide that you're going to quit an addiction for a spouse and that becomes your why, and the spouse leaves, your why goes with the spouse. Your why is your foundation.
Again, that's one of the things that's been missing. You don't have any foundation. You don't have the why. So if you have a why, like I just finished saying, that's like your girlfriend or your wife, and then they leave, especially after that why has been your foundation, you just lost your foundation. So you need to have a why that doesn't involve somebody that you love. A why that's as selfish as your own personal porn use, your own good. That's something that's important. So here's a question that came up, and it comes up often. Even though it doesn't come up as a question, it's a phenomena that happens, which is basically, how come I relapsed after 10 months of not doing porn? The answer to the question is, I'll give it to you after I give you this. In order to get a porn addiction, you have to invest and commit a whole bunch of hours into that addiction. In order to not do that addiction, you must commit not as many hours, but a bunch of hours to deliberately do certain pieces of work that will help you rewire yourself consciously, unconsciously, help rewire your soul, and help recreate your identity. These are things that you have to do through the reflective process that happens in coaching and and recovery coaching, and in a recovery environment, not in a willpower environment. So that's why a person gets 10 months or a year and relapses, or the same question, I had 12 months and now I have a bunch of cravings. It's because you never recovered. That's why you have those cravings. You never recover because nobody told you how to recover, because you never learned how to recover. You never recover because you never changed your mind. You never recover because at the same time, you never realize that not only is it a porn addiction that you're dealing with, you're not really just dealing with a porn addiction, you're dealing with a masturbation addiction. And somehow that masturbation addiction that you never acknowledged trapped you into doing some porn. That's why you relapsed. So when you decided that you're going to be a healthy person, that meant that you were going to eliminate the porn, and then you also were going to eliminate the excessive masturbation. Maybe you felt that you don't want to eliminate masturbation as a whole, and you don't want anybody to tell you what to do either. Okay, I get that. But here's what you need to know. Anything beyond once a week, if not twice a month, as far as masturbation goes, is classified clinically as excessive. So like 3 times a week, that's excessive clinically. Anything more than 3 times a month, clinically, is excessive. Now, when we talk about healthy masturbation between consenting partners is okay. Masturbation, if your partner consents, is okay. Masturbation with mindfulness is okay. You have to look that up on Google. Masturbation to porn is not okay. And masturbation to fantasy is not okay. You can just rewind those. I'll say them again if you're too lazy to rewind. Masturbation is okay if it's in a consenting context with your partner. If you don't have a partner, it's because you chose to, obviously. You didn't do it to fantasy, and you're not doing it to porn. You're doing it in a mindful way, and that's healthy. And anything less than healthy is unhealthy, obviously, and that's not what you want to do. So excessive masturbation, anything more than 3 times, if you're fantasizing or you're watching porn or you're lying to your spouse about it, it's unhealthy. I think that pretty much sums it up. Anything other than what I just finished mentioning. Okay. So the reason why the guy relapses is, again, he hasn't been trained properly. He learned how not to do a thing, but he never healed. And back at the ranch, he never dealt with the masturbation addiction. See, he told his wife about the porn, but he never told her about the masturbation. And his sexual template was hijacked years ago. And porn is the way that he gets super aroused. About identity. Why does identity play a role in this recovery process? Why do you say identity? And the reason why identity becomes so critical is that you have an identity of a helpless porn addict or something like that, something to do with a porn addict. I think it has a negative suffering state of some sort that's attached to it. I don't know what it is, but it again, porn addict is there some way. All right, so let's stop and go back to something maybe you do understand. If you understand the power of goal setting, which is I see something, and because I see something and want it, my reticular activating system produces it. And that's what happens. And so that same principle is true with our identity. So once we form our identity as a certain person, then all we're going to do is just pull information and pull stuff from the world, from the universe, from wherever to support that. And so right now, more than if you're using porn, you have an identity of a porn addict. See, as soon as you seriously have an identity that's not of a porn addict, and that takes some conditioning because you conditioned yourself to where you are. As soon as you have an identity, like I said, my identity is that I'm a healthy trainer and a healthy life coach that helps people recover. And that identity supports me in being healthy, as well as becoming and staying my why. Now, when you have an identity that doesn't even allow room for porn, like truly identity of a person, that stuff won't even fit. So the only thing that would really be happening if that were the case, that you had an identity that was beyond doing porn and you're doing porn, the only reason why the two would actually exist is that you're halfway there. You can't have the identity of not being a porn addict without having made some progress. So the only reason why you do have the identity of not being a porn addict is because you're halfway there. Otherwise, you have the identity of a porn addict. And that's part of that growing up effect that we talk so much about, that you actually have to grow up and grow out of and get rid of the things of a child, because you're not a child anymore. Okay. Another question that comes up is accountability partners and groups. And they're kind of one and the same, although they're not one and the same. but dynamically they're one and the same. Dynamically, they bring a lot of things. One, anytime you have connection, that's the opposite of what porn addicts have been doing. So therefore, they're inherently going to be healthy. Accountability partners raise the standard that people are operating from. And people have a tendency to operate from the standard that their peer group is operating from. And that's why people become the 5 people that they spend the most time with. They become the average of that. Pretty much finances, behaviors of every sort. You can just look at it. If you show me the average, if you show me somebody's 5 people, I can tell you all about that person from the 5 people. You can almost tell about a person by just looking at their phone and looking at the last 5 people that they talked to. That might be something you might want to do today and right now. Are those people that are going to support you and make you a better person and make a better difference in your life? Because the last 5 people that you talked to on your phone will give you a good picture of where you're going. I'm just saying. That's it. I'm just saying. Here's a question. Why does willpower not work? I mean, I hope we're not even asking questions like, why does willpower not work? Because once you cross a certain line with addiction, it's actually become sickness. So like willpower works with most stuff. Willpower is the rule of the day with most stuff. Like, biting your nail. Willpower is fine with biting your nail. I have a nail biting problem, or used to have a nail biting problem, and willpower worked fine. Willpower helped me to make sure that, just that close nail clippers are. That's willpower can do that. But if you think willpower is going to help you reverse a 2,500 to 7,000 hour invested addiction, that's goofy. It's not going to do it. You use the willpower to get up every day and open the book that's going to teach you what you need to do so that you can become the person that you need to become and develop the identity so that you heal. That's what you use willpower for. As far as using willpower not to do something, that's why you can get a whole year and then all of a sudden so-called relapse. Willpower. And it's a muscle. It runs out. And when it runs out because you don't have any kind of strategy, because you still have a pornified mind, because you put your phone in your hand within 15 minutes of waking up every day, you're going to fall. So no willpower. No willpower. You use your willpower to do the work that you need to do. Willpower is not your only source. There's nothing wrong with willpower. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of discipline. There's nothing wrong with saying no. You need to learn to say no to things. You need to be comfortable with saying no. You need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But as far as willpower getting the job done, it's not going to get the job done. You've got to have a strategy. That's why we're doing this work. That's why we do the coaching work. And even if we teach you a strategy, don't think you're so smart. You need to learn how to implement the strategy. There's some stuff people taught me 40 years ago, and I didn't understand until last week. Now, do you got 40 years to wait? I mean, that's a question you got to ask for yourself. Woo. Okay. Learning from porn. That's like the dumbest idea I've ever heard, where people say, "Oh, I learn sex techniques, and I I get experience from porn. There's a book called The Joy of Sex. It's like an old school book. So if you want to learn about sex, get that book, The Joy of Sex. It's out there. I mean, I read it like years ago. It's a real good book. I will caution you, it's kind of triggering because they do have descriptions, like, drawn out descriptions of body parts, not too overly excessive, but like if you wanted to learn about sex. So cut out that lie about, I watch porn to learn how to do sex. No, you don't. That's a lie. And even if you do, it's lame. And that might be why you think porn is free. Porn is not free. You pay for it one of these days. And you can probably pay for it through the recovery. And recovery is paid for one of two ways. Severely out your butt. Or less severely when you pay, put a little money to it and pay that way too. But there's no way that you're going to get recovery free. See, that's what happens from free porn. But that's a misnomer. That's a cognitive distortion. There's no such thing as free porn because of the damages that porn do. Go back a couple episodes. I told you all about how much porn costs. But what I want to remind you is that recovery is where you pay for the porn that you thought was free. Because it ain't free. There ain't nothing free. You can go back to the cost, and I talk about that as well. I'm not going to bore you today. I'm going to keep it moving. Ain't no free porn, man. Ain't nothing free. That's the freer you think it is, the tighter the chains can be. Okay, just remember that. Just remember life, this planet we live in. It's the great balancing act. So if something's loose here, it's gonna be tight over there. If it's tight over here, it's gonna be loose here. Okay. Keep that in mind. Ooh. Let's see here. Anything else? What is PIED? Porn-induced erectile dysfunction. That comes from watching too much porn, and then your member breaks. It comes from it. It comes in stages. Actually, it comes in like 3 stages. One stage is where the only way you can get hard is by watching porn. Second stage is when you don't get hard at all because you watch so much porn. And I wouldn't say it's a stage, but it's a different function. Is that people's ejaculation patterns get changed sometimes, either extremely premature or sometimes people they can't ejaculate at all. So there's a lot of health related issues that come with real extensive porn use, and keep in mind it is something that it graduates, starts at one level and then goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So let's see here. Did I get them all? Joe. Anything else? Yeah, a little porn. Okay. Now I always say it's not that. Is it a little porn or a lot of porn? It's just the dangerousness of it. I mean, is a little fentanyl okay? In an and I actually that's a bad analogy because a little fentanyl is okay. And I know the first reaction that you just had was, Joey, what are you talking about? Fentanyl? Fentanyl actually is something that was made for pain relief during surgery. That's really what it's made for. So yeah, a little fentanyl is okay. So that was a bad example. Is a little cocaine okay? No, it isn't. So cocaine's a better fentanyl. It's actually made as a painkiller for surgery. What is flatlining? Flatlining is, again, one of the physiological dangers that happens to a heavy porn user when he quits porn, which is dangerous. Again, especially when a person quits porn on their own, because they don't have any authority or any knowledge of these things that are happening. So let's talk about flatlining. So the guy, he goes and he gets successful and he's able to quit porn on his own. And again, he's not armed with any of the stuff that we talk about and some of the other people out there that talk about. And I encourage you to, to get all the information. So he doesn't do any of that. So he gets 10 months success or 6 months of success. And when you're talking about the body, when you're talking about physiological things, yeah, sure, they're influences and they have a way of changing things. But also, everybody on this planet is made a little bit differently. So how one person is going to respond is different to how another person is going to respond. So anyway, flatlining is when a person stops using porn. Somewhere, it varies. It could be like 60 days to 6 months. Somewhere in that period, it could be 3 weeks, a week to 5 months. Variables that I just described, how long it takes and how long it lasts, who knows. But it doesn't last forever. But what happens is they can't get hard anymore. Okay. And so they just don't get hard for a period. And so they think that their equipment is broke, or I don't know what. If nobody told you, then you start doing weird stuff. And what the weird stuff is, they start watching porn again, and because that gets them erect. And since nobody told them, they don't know. This is all unconscious. And then the next thing you know, they're back to doing porn again. And that flatlining, like they don't even arouse themselves for a partner. I mean, again, all this stuff, there's variables, there's complicated variables. It doesn't show up for everybody every way. But anyway, that's a little touch on flatlining, that the person doesn't get erect. And here's what I want you to know, if you're a porn addict, about flatlining, because that can be a dangerous time when you're actually having success, that you actually turn around and undermine your success because you don't understand what's going on physiologically. And what I mean by undermine it is that you turn around and you try to test yourself getting hard by going back to porn. So, yeah, flatlining, you need to be prepared and you need to know. And the thing you need to know is just don't test yourself. Just let it play out, let it ride out, and you'll be okay. And the thing that you need to know is that, the flatlining, that's healing. And the thing is because nobody told you that, because you haven't been trained, because you didn't take the time to think it's a craving, and it's healing. You think cravings are cravings and they're healings, cravings for porn and goofiness. It's your body healing. It's going to scream. And flatlining is part of your body healing. But unless you know and you're prepared and ready, you might react instead of respond. So I think I'm going to leave it right there for right now. I think I've given you a little dose of food. I could go on forever. But since it's a journey, let's take one bite at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. I'm Joseph F. Price. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be back soon with another message of encouragement. And a message to keep the momentum, to keep you in the journey,
Because what I know is as long as you are on and in the journey, the same way you are on and in the journey to learn how to walk, the same way you just did it until you learned how, no matter how many times you fell, the same way you did that, because you stayed in the journey, that's the same way you'll lick this. And if you don't lick this, I know for sure. Don't waste your time being ashamed. Just acknowledge the fact that you just didn't do the work. If you do the work to reverse this, the same way you were doing all that work, same way when you were locking those doors and putting that computer in places where people couldn't see it, and going up in that bathroom and in that shower and doing all that work. And when you were doing that, yeah, what we're doing is reversing that. That's 7,500 hours, 4,500 hours, 2,500 hours. Only you know how many hours it is. Only you have an idea. You know, the problem is you don't know. So I'm gone. Why don't you just switch that and know how much time that you spent in recovery? And why don't you spend 200 committed hours in recovery and see what happens? Why don't you commit to spending 200 hours working recovery in a book, not on some place? Oh, I'm getting ready, writing some forum post about, I relapsed. Who cares about you relapsing yesterday? Did you learn anything about your relapse? Who cares that you were craving? Are you learning anything about yourself? Who cares what drama you're going through? Unless you're doing something, unless you're a better person because of the drama that you're enduring. Don't you get that's drama's purpose is to make you better? And guess what? Drama's relentless. So if drama doesn't succeed, drama's coming back for round number 2. I'm Joseph F. Price, reminding you to drive with care and walk with caution. We'll see you soon. Have a nice day.